Hey everybody, Ash here with gentsscents with another fragrance review slash fragrance comparison slash fragrance versus video. So this video is going to be about Parfums Vintage New Elysium clone slash inspired by fragrances. They're called Evolution de l'Homme Soir, Evolution de l'Homme Matin. And forgive my pronunciation there if that sounds off for any native French speakers out there. So like I said, these are inspired by or clones of Roja Dove's Elysium Parfum Cologne, this version here. There's also an Elysium Parfum Extrait de Parfum, which is much more expensive, but the one that most people own or have heard about is this one. So I know that there have been a number of videos on these fragrances released on other channels, but I wanted to go ahead and get my take on these two fragrances out there for you guys, let you know what I think about them. Obviously these were sent to me by Parfums Vintage, but as usual it has no bearing on what I tell you in this video. Everything that I share with you in this video is my own opinion, and in my opinion also, this is a cool jacket, so nobody make fun of me for it. Alright everybody, let's go ahead and check out this presentation. I'm only going to show you the one box because they're pretty much the same, other than the name right there will be different. Everything else the same, so I'll show you one box, one fragrance. I know I've shown you these a lot of times, Parfums Vintage releases, but stick with me, we'll get through this. Alright, we've got the name of the fragrance, name of the house. You've got the Parfums Vintage seal kind of embossed in the box. It looks nice. You've got the logo here at the top. Ingredient information on the side, and on the back that Parfums Vintage picture looks so nice. And then on the bottom some more ingredient information. Alright, so this is how your bottle is going to look. Again, name of the house, name of the fragrance. This is a sticker on the front, wooden cap at the top. This does not click into place. It fits snugly, but I wouldn't pick it up by the cap just to be safe. You don't want to drop it and bust your bottle. Atomizers on these are really nice. Some of the best of any of the fragrances I own, actually. They spray out a lot of fragrance. They're easy to control. They're not hard to press down. They're really nice. Then on the bottom you've got a sticker that has the name of your fragrance. On some of Parfums Vintage's releases you have to look at the sticker to know which fragrance you're holding. Obviously not on these because it's on the sticker on the front. There we go. Parfums Vintage, the presentation for Evolution de l'Homme Matin and Soir. Alright, before we jump into the fragrances themselves, let's talk about the pricing really quickly. That way you have a good idea of how much everything costs and what we're talking about here. First, let's talk about this guy, Roja Dove Elysium Parfum Cologne. You can buy this in 100ml bottle sizes. It's going to run you $290 for a 100ml bottle size. There's also the Extrait de Parfum, which I mentioned in the opening. That one comes in a 50ml bottle size. Looks like this. That one is going to set you aside $485 for a 50ml bottle size, 1.7 ounces. Now that one really is usually only owned by hardcore Roja enthusiasts. And the one, again, that most people talk about is this one, and that's what the Parfums Vintage fragrances are based off of, or inspired by, whatever you want to call it. Both of these go for the same price. You can get a 50ml, 1.7 ounce bottle, which is half the size of this one, for $79, or you can get a 100ml bottle this size here for $119. Now that is full retail. Sometimes Parfums Vintage may run specials on samples or bottles or things like that, but most of the time that's the price you're going to be looking at. So we'll round that up to a nice $120 even for a 100ml bottle. So that means the Parfums Vintage is going to run you about 40% the retail cost of the Roja. Now the next bit of information is from Parfums Vintage themselves. This is kind of a descriptor that tells you the difference between Soir and Matin. So here are the differences. Soir has the vetiver of Elysium Parfum Cologne, whereas Matin has patchouli in its place. According to Parfums Vintage, Soir has a higher concentration of naturals in the top and the mid as compared to Roja Elysium Parfum Cologne. Overall, Matin has 20% more naturals in the top and mid than Soir. So I would imagine that also means it has more naturals in the top and mid than Elysium. Matin has a higher concentration overall, and the base in Matin is completely different than the base in Soir. So that is from Parfums Vintage themselves. Just wanted to provide you the information that they had sent to me. So now let's go ahead and get into the fragrances and break them down a little bit. Let me go ahead and hit you with the note breakdown really quickly for all three of these fragrances: Elysium Parfum Cologne, Soir, and Matin. First, let's go ahead and read off the notes for Elysium, since that's the fragrance that inspired the two Parfums Vintage releases. It's got top notes of lemon, bergamot, grapefruit, lime, thyme, and artemisia. Heart notes of lily of the valley, rose, jasmine, apple, and black currant. And a base of galbanum, pink pepper, cypriol, vetiver, cedar, juniper, benzoin, vanilla, labdanum, leather, and ambergris. So that's a really in-depth note breakdown, lots of things going on there. Next, we'll go ahead and check out the notes for Matin and Soir. Any notes that are shared with Elysium, I will denote with an asterisk on the screen. First up, Matin. Top of pink pepper, juniper, grapefruit, lemon, bergamot, lime, thyme, and artemisia. The mid of jasmine, black currant, apple, rose, cypriol, cedar, and patchouli. And a base of birch, musk, vanilla, and ambergris. Now we'll check out Soir. Top of pink pepper, juniper, grapefruit, lemon, bergamot, lime, thyme, and artemisia. So that's going to be the exact same top as Matin. Mid of jasmine, black currant, apple, rose, cypriol, cedar, and vetiver. Again, the exact same, other than vetiver in place of patchouli. And then base of benzoin, musk, vanilla, labdanum, leather, and ambergris. Let's jump into the fragrances finally. Soir opens up really similar to Elysium, at least Elysium Parfum Cologne. It's really refreshing. It is a little bit sharp. There's juniper mixing with citrus, and if you're unaware of what juniper smells like, it's aromatic and has kind of a similarity to the smell of gin. Dry and aromatic. There's a touch of apple that's underneath the juniper and the citruses in the opening. Very sophisticated, refined, gentlemanly, and mass appealing, people pleasing. I've actually reviewed Elysium on my channel before, and Parfums Vintage Evolution de l'Homme Soir smells very, very similar to Elysium off the top. It's initially very brisk and a little bit sharp, but that dries down and kind of the edges are rounded off very quickly. As it dries down, that juniper mixes with the dry vetiver and a clean white musk. Through the mid, again, very, very close to Elysium. Honestly, it's like you take Elysium and maybe amp it up a little bit, and it smells like Soir. It smells really, really nice, and as far as Parfums Vintage fragrances go, this one is closer to like a straight up match to Elysium than most of their other releases. Because a lot of their other releases, most of them actually, they'll take a fragrance that they're inspired by, they'll switch it up a little bit, put a twist on it, maybe amp up some notes, make other notes just disappear, whatever. They do their own thing with it. Soir is much closer to just being Elysium, being the same than most of their other releases. So that's really about all I have to say about Soir. It's very, very similar to Elysium. Doesn't smell cheaper, doesn't smell like a knockoff. If anything, it's even amped up a little bit, which is really saying something because I do really enjoy Elysium. I put that on top 10 list on my channel before. I really liked it when I reviewed it. Soir is just great as far as being an Elysium inspired fragrance. Now let's go ahead and touch on Matin. So Matin off the top is danker than Soir. That's the word I'll go with. It's danker. It's got a strong opening that can be off-putting. It's got a sour lemon that mixes with artemisia, thyme, even patchouli. So it has kind of a, just a sour lemon with earthy and herbal undertones. Now the opening to Soir can be sharp, but like I said, Elysium has a sharp opening as well. Matin has an opening that's really not all that pleasing to me, to be honest. The patchouli note isn't really what I would call dirty, but it does smell a little bit earthy. And there's also birch in there, which adds just like the tiniest hint of smoke. And the juniper, which is one of the main things that you pick up from Elysium, kind of gets buried underneath all these other notes in Matin. In Soir, the juniper is right up front. You know, it's one of the first things that hits your nose. It lingers for a long time. In Matin, it's buried. So you have strong earthy and woodsy and herbal notes that really just kind of overpower the juniper and the citrus and the other notes in Matin. So you never really get that brisk, fresh opening. Whereas Soir stays green, fresh, and zesty from the opening through to the mid. Matin is more woody and a little bit smoky and earthy. And 100%, when Parfums Vintage tells you that the base is different in these two fragrances, they're not lying. In the dry down, they don't smell similar. Soir smells like Elysium Parfum Cologne all the way through the dry down. Matin, actually, in the far dry down, ends up smelling pretty close to like an offshoot of a Pineapple Vintage release. I mean, you look at the notes in the base for Matin, it's birch, musk, vanilla, and ambergris. That's used in almost all the Pineapple Vintage releases. So in the far dry down, it smells really similar, like I said, to being just an offshoot or a flanker or a new version of Pineapple Vintage that you've been wearing for like 5 hours. So between the two of these, Soir and Matin, if I were going to choose one, honestly, it's not close. For me, it's Soir all day, every day, 100%. Smells really similar to Elysium. Again, maybe even a little bit more amped up than Elysium at less than half the price. And Elysium is a fragrance I really, really like, so no brainer. Matin, I don't really like the opening. The mid is better than the opening, but still not great. And then the far dry down, just kind of an offshoot of a Pineapple Vintage. I wouldn't say that I hate Matin, but it's definitely not close to Soir, at least in my mind. Now, one thing that I do need to tell you guys, you may go anosmic to this fragrance. That happens sometimes, you know, where you spray a fragrance on and then maybe even 30 minutes in, you can't really smell it, you can't really pick it up, and you think it's not there anymore. You think nobody else can smell it, and then you go, oh my God, this is such a weak performing fragrance, this is trash, why did I buy this? It's still there, you just may not be able to smell it, you may have gone anosmic to it. That happens. Happens to me with a number of different fragrances, Pineapple Vintage being one of them. I go anosmic to that one sometimes, and other people can smell me from like 6 feet away, but I can't smell myself. So just be aware that if you spray this on and maybe you feel like it's not there anymore, probably is, you just can't smell it yourself. So don't go crazy, don't spray, 10 sprays trying to make it where you can smell it again or whatever, because then the people around you are gonna hate you. Now let's talk about where you would wear this, versatility, stuff like that. You should already know, but Soir, highly versatile, exact same as Elysium. Anywhere that you would wear Elysium, you can wear Soir. So we're talking office, more formal business, formal situations, casual situations, date night, whatever, you can wear it. For me, it's something better in spring, summer, and fall. You could wear it in winter, just adjust your sprays as necessary, but it doesn't really smell like something that I would necessarily reach for in winter, because usually I go for heavier stuff when it's really cold outside. Now Matin, to me, not quite as versatile as Soir, just because that opening is a little bit off-putting and the mid is not as nice as Soir is either. So that one I probably wouldn't wear to the office myself. That's something that I would wear more casually. And as far as seasons and day-night, same thing as Soir. Both of these perform just as well as Elysium does. So for me, that's 7+ hours. Projection, very strong initially with both of these. And then in the mid, it settles a little bit closer, where it puts out kind of a sillage at arm's length around you. And I think that's where you can kind of go anosmic to it, where it's pretty strong initially. If you spray that on, especially around your neck or something, then you're gonna end up going anosmic to it. So there we go. That is my take on the two Parfums Vintage releases, Evolution de l'Homme Soir and Matin, inspired by Roja Elysium Parfum Cologne. If you've smelled these, let me know what you think about them. Again, Soir for me just does it a lot more than Matin does, but obviously your mileage may vary. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and for watching this video. Thank you again to Parfums Vintage for sending me these fragrances for review. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you guys again next time.